At PVM, what we do changes lives.
All for me. That's amazing. Good morning. My name is Henry Johnson, and I'm your MC for this program. We're delighted that you've come to join us, and we thank you for coming to learn more about the seniors we serve at PVM. Today, you're going to hear from several residents who will give testimony to their experiences with this great organization. Now, some have asked me, why have I been on the Presbyterian Villages Board for the last, I can't count them, 13 years. Primarily, it's because I believe in its mission to serve, to create quality living environments for seniors, and to create great possibilities for their lives. And I think that's a very important piece of what we do and why we do what we do. The second reason why I serve PVM is because I'm very picky about volunteering. Although I've been a volunteer for organizations for the majority of my adult life, this one I serve with passion. Because, again, I believe in their mission. I see what they do. I've observed it for the last 13 years. Their staff, their leadership, and I watch the residents' responses to this. And I can't think of a better place to be, a better place to give both of my time and my resources than to Presbyterian Villages of Michigan. By the way, there's a raffle. Did everyone drop was this their business cards into the repository for those business cards outside to join the raffle? I hope you did. I'd also like to thank at this point the table captains, the volunteers, and I want to recognize also any of the PVM board members and also the PVM Foundation board members who are in attendance today. Would you please stand and let us give you a round of applause for joining us? So without further ado, I think we'll begin the real essence of the program, and we'll start off with a special treat from the village of Oakland Woods, right up the street, as it were. This is a People's Resident Chorus, and they will present at this moment. Please come forth.
Come shake it, baby, now. Shake it up, baby.
That's called getting your groove on. And it also shows you that the rhythm is there and the moves are still there. And that's what the villages inspire our seniors to do. We're now going to show you a video clip which was produced for the 2015 annual gala. And the theme of that gala was 70 and Still Making Waves. And the essence of this is to show you how seniors continue to break down stereotypes and make waves in life through their service and through their activities. Let's watch this video called
Hi, I'm Harriet.
I'm Kenneth.
And we're the
Jenkins.
Jenkins.
And we're from the village of Brush Park Manor, where we were a resident for 7 years. And during that time, we've lost 250 pounds.
When I came here, I was wearing this shirt,
Look at her now.
and we're still making waves.
Hi, I'm Bob Bradley. I'm 83 years old. I'm a resident of East Harbor, and I love riding motorcycles. And I'm still making waves.
Hi, I'm Dorothy Shelley. I've been a kayaker for over 10 years. I'm 86 and I'm still making waves.
Hi, my name is Bob Bachram, and I ski every day out at Nubbs Knob. I teach, and I'm still making waves.
Hello, I'm Ron Hansen, and at age 91, I'm still making waves, and I threw out the first pitch in a Tiger ball game last summer.
Hello, my name is Raquel Vergara. I live in the village of Sage Grove in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and I'm still making waves at my 77 years old. I got my citizenship.
I had to have brain surgery in April. They removed a piece of tumor from the back of my brain. And it came out that it was not cancer. So they said, well, we're gonna do the open heart surgery to remove the mass. And they told me I had a 90% that I might not make it. And they removed the mass. The results came back, it was not cancer. And I didn't have to have a stent, valve, anything. They just removed the mass, told me I would be able to live a normal life again. My name is Martha Adams. I'm from the village of Our Savior's Manor, and I am still making waves.
That's just one advanced testimonial. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you Roger Myers. Roger is the president and CEO of Presbyterian Villages of Michigan. He's a visionary, he is truly a servant leader, and he's becoming a legend in his own time. Roger, come forward.
Thank you, Henry. I don't know about that legend part, but thank you very much. Good morning. Good morning, and thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. You're going to hear that theme in the next few minutes because it's really about you. We know that many of you have had some involvement with PVM, but we also know that most of you have not had much involvement with PVM at all. In preparing for this morning's breakfast, I was originally asked to respond to the question, what is PVM doing to make the world a better place? And there's a lot we could say about that. We've also put annual reports on your tables, and so I'd encourage you to take that home with you, and you'll see a lot in there about what PVM's doing to make the world a better place. Well, I'm not going to answer that question. I've modified the question based on a workshop that Paul Miller and a few of us attended yesterday at the University of Michigan on the Dearborn campus. So here's the revised question. What would happen if PVM went away tomorrow? Literally tomorrow, no more PVM. So that's a very important and profound question to think about. So this was a question that was raised yesterday, and so I thought about, like, wow, what would it be? And so here are my top 10 answers. More seniors would be homeless or live in substandard or marginal housing. More seniors would be living in nursing homes. A reduced quality of life for many seniors and increased vulnerability. There would be reduced programs and services for seniors in the community. There would be reduced community revitalization and neighborhood development. There would clearly be reduced collaborations and partnerships. Reduced innovative and transformational initiatives benefiting seniors. Reduced advocacy for seniors. Reduced employment opportunities. And lastly, reduced statewide economic impact. Those were the kind of the top 10 things that came to mind. If you look at the map, and again, it's on the back of the annual report. If you look at that map, these terrible consequences of no more PVM would be experienced in diverse communities across the state. Urban, suburban, outstate, rural, and resort communities. Of course, with your support and the support of many others, PVM is not going away. In fact, quite the opposite. With your support, PVM is continuing to grow and strengthen its 71-year mission of creating opportunities for seniors to thrive and to keep making waves, as you just saw in the video. One example is PACE of Southeast Michigan. PACE is the acronym that stands for Program of All-Inclusive Care for the Elderly, and is our rapidly growing joint venture with the Henry Ford Health System, and it's serving in Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties. In a few minutes, you'll meet David Simpson, who is a PACE participant as well as a resident at the Tomei Rivertown housing development. A second example is the Village Victory Cup competition. It's kind of similar to the Senior Olympics. It's a great form of engagement, well-being, and just plain fun that residents look forward to. Meet Thomas Jackson. He's the gentleman on the far right-hand side of the photograph. He was one of the Village Victory Cup competitors and a resident at the village of Brush Park Manor, Paradise Valley, which is just a couple blocks from Ford Field and Comerica Park and the new Little Caesars Pizza Hockey Arena. In addition, Mr. Jackson sang at the first Inspire Possibilities breakfast in 2011. And last November, he sang on stage with the band at the Cobo Riverfront Ballroom at the PVM Gala. Clearly, Mr. Jack's still making waves. Stay tuned for a couple of major announcements, and I was hoping I was going to be able to do it today, but just can't do it until next Tuesday and Wednesday. But in the next few weeks, there's going to be some significant announcements regarding new initiatives that will add several locations and over 500 more seniors to the PVM family. So hopefully I piqued your kind of curiosity about that. So it's going to be a pretty big deal. Another question that I was asked, what keeps me up at night? So what keeps me up at night? I generally sleep pretty well, but I do think about this long-awaited age wave. You know, they've been talking about this age wave. It's here now. The baby boomers have arrived. More and more seniors as a percentage of the total population. Seniors that are living longer and longer with greater health issues and frequently with inadequate resources to meet their increasing needs. This is at the core of PVM's mission and is a daunting and urgent challenge, a challenge that we need you to successfully meet. Like many of you, these issues also become very personal. Meet my mother, Faye. She's been a resident at the village of Westland for the past 5 years. Even though she's able to live with independence and has financial resources to meet her needs, she and we, her family, have been truly blessed by the outstanding quality of life that she has enjoyed at the village. We are extremely grateful. And I know that there's several others of you that have family members living at the village, as I know Lynn Alexander's mother lives at the village of Oakland Woods, just up the street, and again, and many others. So we as a family member are very grateful to PVM. Back to yesterday's workshop for a moment. We were told that organizations should be able to describe their purposes in 50 words or less. And for everyone there, that seemed to be a difficult task. And so some of you that know me, sometimes I have a little hard time being concise. There's a lot to say. So I thought 50 words, wow. Look at our annual report. I don't know, it's like 50 pages. But then we were told to do it in just 2 words. That's right, 2 words. So here are my 2 words for PVM. Transforming lives. Transforming lives. But then I considered 2 alternate words because I just couldn't stick with 2 words. So transforming lives, sounds good. But the other 2 words were embracing possibilities. In short, we need you, each of you, you and PVM, to transform lives and embrace possibilities. Finally, an exciting volunteer opportunity is available for you. In fact, if you looked in the program, you'll see a card in there that says Village Victory Cup. So the Village Victory Cup is being held on June 24th, right here in Pontiac, just around the corner from this hotel at the Ultimate Soccer Facility. As you leave this morning, please sign up in the back with Tom Wiley. Tom, are you there? I'm here. Okay, and here's the Village Victory Cup. Okay, and I might say that it currently is held by the village of Westland. I believe that's right. But there's a number of other villages that are in training for that. Thank you again for attending and for helping to create opportunities for seniors to thrive. You are among PVM's heroes. Thank you very much.
You are now about to hear testimonials from residents who live in our villages. The first will be Mrs. Motoko Huthwaite. She lives, I believe, at the village of Westland, where Roger's mother lives. So, would you come forth and tell us about your story?
Good morning. My name is Modiko Huthwaite, and I've been a resident at the village of Westland for 3.5 years. It is my pleasure and privilege to have this opportunity to tell you how living here has transformed my life. Born in Boston 88 years ago to Japanese parents, I was raised in both the United States and Japan, and at the time of Pearl Harbor, I was a Japanese teenager in America, making me the enemy. So my father sent my mother, my brother, and me back to Japan until the war would be over. To my dismay, I was the enemy on both sides of World War II. My American clothing and my poor Japanese marked me as an American, the enemy again. I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. War is hell. But we survived. After the war was over, I was faced with the most difficult decision of my life. Do I keep my American or my Japanese citizenship? I could no longer be both. I chose to reinstate my American citizenship and return to the United States. I received a full scholarship and graduated from Radcliffe College in Massachusetts. And then I began my teaching career, both in Japan and in America. Many years later, Michigan became my home when I married the love of my life, Ernest Huthwaite, and began 26 years of the happiest time I ever knew. We lived in Pontiac, near here, and I became Grand Modiko to all his 6 grandchildren. Ernest passed away in 1997. I never shed a tear. I got down on my knees and thanked God for a wonderful marriage I had never expected. Now I had to face a new chapter of my life, alone. I was aware I was getting older. Living alone was getting harder. And in 2012, I fell 3 times, and I thought, I should no longer be living alone. It wasn't safe. My thoughts went reeling. How can I care for myself? Where else can I live? How badly and quickly will my quality of life diminish? What kind of planning do I need to do? I knew I had to do something, and trying to answer all these questions by myself was frustrating. So I reached out to 2 of my best, closest church friends for help. We visited 7 different retirement communities until we fell in love with one, the village of Westland. Friendly staff, warm and welcoming residents, and the sense of security convinced me that this was what I wanted to call home. I can't even begin to tell you how much I love living there, how much joy and enrichment it has given me. From the monthly birthday parties, to movie nights, to the New Year's Eve party at noon, because most of us old fogies can't stay up till midnight. Every day is a new adventure for me, and I most definitely feel that I belong. I enjoy the strength training classes where Faye Myers is my classmate, in the Wellness Center 3 days a week, to keep me agile for as long as I can. And last year, I started a biography writing project where I interview my fellow residents and write their biographies, which are published in the monthly newsletter. Outside of the village, I'm involved in many things. My alumni club, the Presbyterian Women, Michigan Stop the Nuclear Bomb campaign, a peace action group called the Raging Grannies. And last October, I had the crowning experience of my life. I was whisked away for a weekend in Washington, D.C. to receive the Congressional Gold Medal, the highest civilian honor bestowed by the U.S. Congress, for my involvement with the Monuments Men. If you look on page 7, I have to make a correction. I was not a monuments woman in Europe. I was in Japan. The war was over, it was peace, and I was not courageous or did anything brave. I just walked up 6 flights of stairs to the Arts and Monuments Division, where I was a clerk typist. I was a teenager. I was the kid in the office. I did nothing brave, but I'm the only one that's still breathing. And that's the only reason I got the award. while I'm still very active, I know that I have a limited amount of time to be able to see, walk, and remember things. This may seem like the end of the world to some, but not for me. Did you know that PVM has a benevolence program available to residents in financial need? Such programs are very rare. And, if I can find the right page, no, I can't find the right page. Well, anyhow, they have a benevolence program that helps people in need. And although I'm able to care for myself now, what if I live to be 100? And there are quite a few people that do. It's hard to imagine. But it brings me much comfort to know that I live in a place where caring for seniors is a priority. I have a sense of security that PVM and Westland have given me. The security that I can live here and be cared for as I grow more frail, that I won't have to do this on my own. I consider all of the residents my family, and even though I don't have much, it's one of the reasons the village of Westland is in my will. With my worries behind me, I can focus on the present and enjoy each day as it comes. I am content where I am, and I have no fear for the future. I am more at peace than I have ever been, and I have PVM to thank for that. And as I tell all my family and all my friends, I am spending my golden years in a slice of heaven. Thank you.
And that's the beginning of the testimonials. What a wonderful story. Now I hope you get a sense of why I love PVM and its people, because the people are PVM. Thank you so much for that wonderful testimonial. Our second testimonial will be given by Mr. David Simpson. From the Heart is his theme. Mr. Simpson is a resident of Tomei Rivertown here in Detroit. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is David Simpson, and I'd like to thank everyone for coming out and sharing my story with me and how Tomei Rivertown and PVM literally saved my life. Art had always been a passion to me. Anything that was in it, drawing, painting, sketching, building, it didn't matter if it was pertaining to art. I loved to do it. And at the age of 12, my older brother decided to put a singing group together, and they needed a singer. And of course, I ended up joining the group, and at the age of 13, we signed our first recording contract with Boss and 10 High Records, and we were known as the celebrities, and our hit song was I Choose You and Good Night. It was some very good times, but unfortunately things sort of went down the hill for me, and I ended up having to divorce. Things was just really bad for me. So I ended up at 20, I married my first wife, and we had 5 kids, 4 boys and 1 girl. And so I decided to put my own group together, and we were known as Rare Essence. And we were on the Atlantic label, and our hit record was Disco Fever. And that's me at the top. We traveled around the country. We were playing at various places. We performed at the Detroit Auto Show. But what was most exciting to me was when we performed at the Pontiac Silverdome, and we performed during the Detroit Pistons halftime. And it was just exciting, and I knew, wow, I've got it made now. But took a bad turn, and I ended up divorcing and moving in with my mother, and I had to file bankruptcy. And after a few years after that, I remarried again, and I joined the 13-piece band that we were known as the Rare Blend. We traveled across the country. We performed at various places. Well, there I go. I'm back on it again. I just knew I was on my way. Unfortunately, I ended up getting cancer and had to put my music on hold, and things got kind of bad. And it was sort of rough on my wife and my marriage, and we ended up separating. She moved to Texas, and I ended up going back with my mother, but by that time, she was very ill. After that, me and my wife started talking, and then we got back together, decided to get back together, so I moved to Texas. And things were going well for a while. Then I hit another lump. I ended up finding out that I had congested heart failure. And so they had to put me on a LVAD, and that's a machine that keeps your heart pumping. And so every night I had to be plugged up, and during the day you ran off of batteries. And so my wife didn't want to go through the trauma that she had went through with me having a cancer, so we ended up divorcing. And I moved back to Detroit with my oldest son and his family. And so I started working on my own CD, and that CD was entitled David Michael, A New Beginning.
Sometimes I wonder, will I find a friend?
But have you know it, another tragedy hit me again. I ended up getting pneumonia, not once, but 3 times. Ended up going into the hospital. And the doctors didn't believe that I would make it because I had gotten really worse. But with my faith being as strong as it was, I sort of bounced back. And then we decided maybe a heart transplant would be a great idea for me. And they put me on the transplant list and ended up taking me off of it because my living situation had become very unstable. And I didn't have enough insurance to cover the surgery. And within that time, I had moved about 5 times. But later on, I ended up moving in with my niece. So they ended up putting me back on the transplant list. And within about 3 months, I ended up getting my heart. Thank God. And while the time I was in the hospital, my niece called me, and she was looking for me a place to stay. And she found it, the Tomei Rivertown Senior Apartments. When she called me, she said, well, guess what, Aunt? I found you a place. So I was very happy, you know, afraid also because at that, I didn't think I would be able to afford it because of my financial situation. And but after talking to her and Mrs. Wilcox, I decided to go ahead and take the chance. And it was truly a blessing for me. So after moving into the Tomei Rivertown, I ended up joining the PACE program. And during that time, I sort of rediscovered myself. and started back to drawing. And after 35 years of not drawing, I didn't think I was going to have that talent again. And these are some of my artwork. And I also started back singing again. And if it hadn't been for Tomei Rivertown and PVM, I don't know where I don't even think I would even be here today. And that's one reason why I support the Rivertown and PVM program, because of what it has done for me. And I would ask that if, you know, everyone would join me in supporting this program, because it is a very good program. It gave me a new lease on life. It turned my whole life around, and you could see the results. Because if you'd have seen me when I came out of the hospital, I looked like a chicken. But I, you know, thank you all for coming and sharing this moment with me, and ask that you continue to help me support the Rivertown and PVM program for what it has done for me and what it has done for a lot of other fortunate people like myself. And thank you once again.
Thank you very, very much. Wow, that should touch our hearts and tell us what perseverance and faith does for us day by day. Our last testimonial will be given to us by Ms. Vernice Johnson, who is a resident at Oakland Woods, which is right up the road, as we say. So please, Ms. Johnson, come.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vernice Johnson. I'm honored to be here this morning and to have the opportunity to say a few words about my journey to the village of Oakland Woods, where I've lived now for about 5 years. I raised my 4 children alone after their father and I divorced. I worked hard at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan for 30 years. And a year before I retired, I purchased a home in Canton with a person that I thought I was going to marry. And that marriage didn't happen. Several years later, I found myself feeling isolated. I had only one child left in Michigan, and she lived in Southfield. And I visited her only once a week after church on Sundays. My church was still in Detroit. I was in a house I couldn't afford. I had lost equity. The economy had tanked, and I needed to downsize. So I put the house on the market in May of 2011, and I started to look for a new home. I knew I wanted to live in a senior community where there would be lots of activities. So I decided to search the internet, and in June 11th, I found a Presbyterian Villages of Michigan. When I looked among the villages, I decided on the village of Oakland Woods because it was close by where my sister lived. Then I scheduled an appointment to see the place. I really liked the cottages and the beautiful, spacious campus, and right away I thought I could live here. When I was approved, I scheduled another appointment for my family to see it. Then I brought my daughter and my granddaughter, my sister and my stepmother, and they all thought it was great because I loved it already. And especially my sister, because I would be closer to her. So we were all excited, and the next step was for me to get my house sold. In July of 2011, I got a buyer, and a few days later, I got a breast cancer diagnosis. So the move was more urgent then than before because I needed surgery right away, followed by chemo and radiation treatments. I managed to find the doctors that I needed. I moved on August 11th, had surgery 2 weeks later, and I was in treatment for the following 8 months. So during this time, I hadn't had an opportunity to meet many friends, many neighbors, but a few I had met when I first moved in, and when I was able to take short walks, people would wish me well. So I knew again that I was in the right place. But today, I'm cancer-free for almost 5 years. I don't feel isolated anymore because I've met so many good friends. I'm happy, and I live a very full life at the village of Oakland Woods. I have beautiful flowers that I planted in my yard. I take advantage of the wellness program. I'm secretary of the resident council. I joined the Village People Chorus 3 years ago, and I'm the director. I'm responsible for starting a Bible study, which now has been going on for about 2 years. Not to mention the activities at my new church that I found right around the corner. I feel that I am so blessed to live in a beautiful and safe community that provides so many services for seniors. So that's why I want other seniors to share the same experience. And that's why I give what I can. So please join me in supporting PVM and my fellow seniors. Thank you.
I think you now can understand why I love the people of PVM and why PVM is responding in so many significant ways to the needs of our seniors. We're now moving to the next phase of the program, but first I would like to ask if Ms. Dawn Siggett is in the house. All right, you have just won 2 tickets to the 2016 PVM Gala. I'll tell you like they say in the other shows, see me after the show. But having said that, this is the time when we now ask you, after having heard these testimonials and listened to the program presented, if you would now, with the help of your table captains, look at the form that's before you. It's called Inspire Possibilities Breakfast, and it's in reference to the Reverend D. L. P. Peterson Mission Makers Society members. What we're asking you to do is to give serious consideration to contributing to one of these societies, and we ask that if you can't make a pledge today, that you consider making one in the not too distant future. Please take a look at how you might be able to do this. Of course, cash is always acceptable, but we know that we don't always have that, well, $10,000 in cash in our pockets, so we ask you to consider ways to doing it otherwise. You may make a pledge, but whatever you do, please remember that the reason why you are doing this is because of the need and to benefit the seniors who are here. I'm sorry. Oh. I'm also told you can pull out your phones and go to PVM. I don't even see it on here. My glasses, I'm not seeing too well. Wherever it is on your program. You can do this also by online. It's one of our most recent innovations. Oh, it's right here on the site. I didn't even see that. Go to pvmf.org. Please take your time. Please give serious consideration to this valuable cause. This is also a time in which the table captains can explain why they give to PVM. I heard one of the finer people in the room make a comment in that regard. At this time, maybe the Oakland Word Chorus can come gather and give us a selection, I believe, as guests are leaving, but they don't do this at the moment. In a few minutes, they will be entertaining you as you leave the room. Please remember, if you have any questions, you may ask your table captains, and they will be happy to clarify any concerns you might have. Be sure to give your donation envelopes to your table captain. They will be collecting them. Take a moment and look on the back of the program, and you will see a list of the sponsors who we are so grateful to for making this breakfast possible. Thank you, sponsors, for all you do for Presbyterian Villages of Michigan. So, again, I thank you for joining us this morning. I thank you for your time from your busy schedules. And I ask that for those of you who can to volunteer for our upcoming event in Pontiac, the Victory Cup event, which is in your program and tells you where it is. Thank you again for joining us. We feel blessed by your presence and by your contributions. As you are leaving, our choir will again give you a rendition of Thank You for Being a Friend. Ladies, are you ready to begin? This concludes our program for the morning. Thank you very much.
Learn more at pvm.org or call 248-281-2020.